Hello guys and welcome back. So this is a guide for Warlock. I'll mainly focusing on PVE for this one. PvP, Warlock kind of plays like really differently, so I didn't want to like mix these two things. But I'm going to be mentioning a couple of things about PvP here and there, right? The Warlock is a magic damage class and it has an emphasis, a very heavy emphasis on the Umbro element. All of his skills do Umbro damage, even the basic attack, so you want to keep that in mind when you're actually building your class. You cannot use any other element but Umbro on this class. He also uses light armor or flex armor, but I'm going to explain that later on when you're talking about the skills. So pros and cons on the Warlock. One of the pros of Warlock is like he does really high burst damage, very high burst damage. You have very high survivability as well for a mage because of the leech effect on the class. Has a very strong leech effect. You can go from 10% HP to 100% HP in basically 1 or 2 skills using that leech skill. It also has very great AoE damage, and also like the gathering skills on the Warlock are actually pretty cool. And I think this is just a personal pro for me, but the skill look like really good. It's basically eye candy for your eyes, right? And when we are talking about the cons, the first con I would say is Warlock is a melee class. It's not really a ranged class, especially for PvE, because most of the skills are melee and the basic attack is also melee. So if that's a con for most of you, that yeah, we can call it a con, but it's with the in quotes, because some people don't really consider that a con. Another thing, and this is a big one, Warlock can be very gear dependent, because to get like really high numbers at the end of a fight or something, you need to do a lot of skills, which kind of goes back into you needing way higher cooldown reduction than other classes might actually need, right? So you want to be focusing a lot of cooldown reduction, and this also goes to the fact where the pay to win pet, like the cat that gives a lot of cooldown reduction, is like really good on Warlock. So yeah, that is that. Do what you will with that information. For me, it's okay. I mean, I don't really mind it that much. You can get by just being free to play with it, but you want to be focusing a lot on cooldown reduction, right? And another con for this class, though it is not like a forever con, the class kind of outgrows that con, is during early levels, when you're leveling the class, it is very underwhelming. Warlock does not shine until you get all your passive and maybe all your ultimates and your transformation later on, past level 45 when you like awaken the class. But before that, it feels very clunky. So you might as well just play like magician and enjoy the funny magician game playstyle, and then swap into Warlock the moment you hit level 45 and start enjoying the class the way it is, right? So let's go in and I'll show you guys all the skills, and I'm going to try and explain some that have like interesting mechanics and stuff. So let's go into the training room. If you don't know how to access the training room, you want to click the double swords here and then challenge, and then training ground, then click go. It's going to teleport you to this NPC here, Atlan, and then use Atlan to get into the training ground. So I'm going to be talking about the skills one by one, basically from level 1, and we're going to be going like really quick because some of them are like very straightforward. They don't really need me to say much about them, right? Let's start with the first skill from level 1. So magic feathers. Magic feathers is basically a PvP skill. So however, this skill kind of shines in PvP because it has like a little homing missile system into it, right? You can jump and then try and catch someone and then do a combo after that. So in PvE, not really usable. In PvE is not usable, but in PvP, this is probably one of your most used skill. Very low cooldown, nice for catching people, but in PvE, don't really bother with this one. Let's go to the second skill, Sinister Blade. It does very poor damage. Maybe you can use it for the super armor it provides. Other than that, this skill doesn't have that much going for it. It's just simple as that, has no effects or anything. It's just a quick super armor, then that's it. Maybe you can use it for PvP, but there's better skills to use for PvP and also for PvE. So let's talk about this passive. The light armor monster, it basically tells you what armor set you need to be wearing. So it says when you're wearing light armor or flex armor, you're going to get the bonus attributes. You're going to notice that in your gear, let's go to craft, right? Your gears, let's look at this one of these. So this is like your best in slot. These gears will have written here like breastplate, flex armor. So for Warlock, you're gonna be using flex armor or light armor. Anything else than that, you're gonna lose the attribute bonuses, right? So for the current endgame, it actually doesn't matter because you're gonna realize that all armors are actually flex armor. Even for like a berserker, it's still flex armor. So technically speaking, theoretically speaking, you can wear the berserker armor and can actually still get the bonus attributes. However, maybe in future they're gonna be new armor sets. For example, if we go back and look at the berserker's purple armors, let's say this one, you'll see it is heavy armor. If you use this on the Warlock, you're gonna lose your basic attributes. So maybe in the future when we have more epic sets, if you get like one which is an heavy armor, no, that's not really for your class. You're looking for flex armor or light armor because that is what is going to activate this passive here. It is automatically learned. You don't really have to do anything for that, but just know that for Warlock, you're using light armor or flex armor. Let's go to the next skill here, the Dark Vortex. So this is a gather skill. So these are like early game skills you're going to be using, right? The moment you change your class at level 15, you are kind of stuck with these skills. So this is a gather skill. You use this to gather mobs and then do your combo and stuff. The problem with this gather skill is instead of like stopping the moment it hits the mob, it goes behind the mob, right? And it pushes the mob and then pulls it back. So it kind of a little annoying, right? It's a little annoying because the mobs will be sent all the way back and then come back, and it's a long time, to be honest. It's just much better if you just pull them like straight up. So it's a little underwhelming. Doesn't do that good damage as well. So we don't really use this in PVE. You get much better gather skills in the future. So for this one, just use it early game when you're leveling up, and then I'll show you what to exchange this with immediately. This one does like really bad damage. Okay, so keep that in mind. So let's talk about the fast finisher skill. So this skill is pretty good, really pretty good, and I still use it even today because it does very good damage. It's very good damage, and it has a very low cooldown. And if there's one thing you need to know about Warlock is he likes low cooldown skills. And for it being a finisher, at endgame, you can activate some set effects using your finisher skill. And having this finisher at like 25-second cooldown with my current CDR, and it's 28-second cooldown, and it can even go lower the more cooldown I get, meaning we can activate our set effects much more often, right? Another cool thing about this skill is this skill has like an inbuilt teleport into it. Doesn't really tell you that, but when you hold the hotkey, for me it is E, when you hold the key, you can actually teleport to a particular location, right? So you can hold it and then select where you want to go. So for example, I can teleport to where that ball dummy is, like that, and then release. And I'm going to teleport there and start the ulti immediately. So that's one cool thing you can do. You can use this to catch people in PvP. For example, you can just teleport behind them and start hit them with the ulti. So you don't have to use it and then try and walk to like where they are, right? Sometimes I used to do that and actually found out you can actually use this and teleport to where the boss or the enemy is. So that's one thing, that's one cool thing about this skill. I use this skill a lot, to be honest. In longer fights, I prefer having this one than the level 61, to be honest. In a longer fight, the level 61 will of course do more damage, but in a shorter fight, I mean, but in a longer fight, you might find this skill out damaging the level 60 finisher skill. So keep that in mind. So this is one of the skill I actually max this one out, and I always have it on one of my slots here. So let's go to the next one, Shadow Orb. Shadow Orb is just a skill shot stuff. Let's put it on one. I'm going to show you how it looks. When you look at the preview over here, it looks like it's a short range thing, but funny enough, this is actually a very long range skill shot. It's very long range. See, it hits more to a very long range, and it has 2 charges into it. Actually can't go in. Yeah, so it's a very long range skill. However, it is very slow and doesn't do good damage at all. It is very slow. You can do it twice, so probably has some uses in PvP, but for PvE, this is not really a skill you're gonna be using. It does very bad damage and it's pretty slow. And you have much better skills to use. So yeah, keep that in mind. The passive on it is just to add one more stack of cast. I'm gonna talk about cast in a bit. Spell Surge. Spell Surge is just a passive, increases your magical attack. Every class has such a passive. You wanna max this out. Very self-explanatory, I don't have to say anything about it, just gives you some extra damage. And then your charged basic attack, this is just for combos, to knock up things, down smash them. Also, it's free to level that up, so also make sure you have that passive on. Soul Banishment as well. This is also like a PvP thingy. It's not really a PvE skill. Let me put them both with the passive, because you're never really going to be using it alone, you're going to be using it with the passive. Very poor damage, and maybe you can use it in PvP. In PvE, you're never going to use this thing. It's very poor damage. In PvP, maybe, because it has like super armor on it, and maybe you can catch someone on it. But I still wouldn't suggest using this. There's better skills to use. So this one is also, it's very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. So just forget about that one. Corrupted Crows is a PvP skill. A very nice PvP skill as well. It has like a lot of pressure. You can set it up and it can catch people very off guard, to be honest. It's very nice for extending combos as well. So it's for PvP. For PvE, you're not going to use this one. It doesn't really do good damage for PvE, but for PvP, it's usable. It's very simple skill, doesn't need a lot of explanation. So yeah, keep that in mind. In PvE, not that good, but for PvP, it's actually a really good skill. You're going to be using this as a bread and butter for PvP. For the next passive, Extreme Dodge. Resonance energy, for those who do not know, I'm going to show you quick right now, is you see the bar underneath your health. There's like 3 bars here. So if you fill up these bars, you see how they are filling up every time I do damage. I don't know if yep, just do damage. If you hit the third one, that is when you get this activation, where you can use the resonance energy to go into the super armor state with some extra damage. And then during that duration, it will start ticking, and it's gonna consume all your resonance energy, right? All of this time you're in super armor, and then once it runs out, you start building it up again with damage and stuff. So what that passive means when you dodge, where is it? This. When you dodge, you're gonna get extra resonant energy. It means when you get that perfect dodge, you're gonna get more of the bar, so that you can be more into the resonant state, which gives you more damage, and you really can't be CC'd by anything because you're like in super up complete, right? So that's what resonant energy means, and that applies to all classes. Each class has like this passive. So if you have another class on an alt, just know that resonance energy is that white bar underneath your health, right? So keep that in mind. So the moment you swap into a Warlock, you do get this passive, the Resentful Curse. So this is the entire class mechanic on Warlock. So these 2 skills, the Resentful Curse and the Demon Mark Burst, this is your bread and butter skill. So the moment you swap into a Warlock at level 15, every time you basic attack and stuff, you're going to notice you're going to get this mark on your enemy, right? And if you check at the bar, the health bar of the enemy, you're going to see the Resentful Curse, which is a 20-second debuff. And this stacks all the way to 5 times, right? Anytime you apply an extra one, it just resets the time. When you spend the burst skill, what this does is going to do damage according to how many stacks you have on your enemy. So you just press 1, it detonates the mark, and then you do a nice burst of damage. And then you go back to stacking those curses all the way to 5 again. Your demon mark is off cooldown, use it, boom, explode for a huge burst of damage, right? You don't really want to be looking at your enemy on the bar on the top here, so I'm going to show you how this looks. So for the first 2 marks, you're going to have, this is the 1, 2. It's going to look small like that, right? And then for the next 2 marks, when you get to 4, this mark is going to be a little big parts. I went too high. So at 5 stacks, it's gonna glow like this. It's gonna look like a glowing mask. The eyes are right. So you show you the difference between let's just put 4 stacks. That is 4 stacks. That's how 4 stacks look. It's a little bigger, but the eyes are not glowing. So when you add one more stack, you see, now it glows. So the rule of thumb is, if the boss or whatever mob, if this is not glowing like this, do not burst it, right? Wait for it, because you can like look at this when it's like that. Wait for it to glow, and then that's when you're gonna get the maximum damage every time you snap. Another thing to note is you are seeing this message here saying exhausted. So exhausted is a debuff that is applied every time you detonate 5 stacks of resentful curses. You're gonna get this debuff called resentful exhausted. Exhausted basically means whatever enemy you have exploded the 5 stacks on, they're gonna do 5% less damage. That is what this debuff means. It's a very short debuff as well, so most people forget about it, but yeah, it's just a small thing when it comes to how these stacks work. So it has to be 5 stacks. If it's lower than 5 stacks, you're not gonna get the exhausted debuff on the boss or whatever, right? So yeah, that's a small thing about the passive. So the class revolves around that passive and detonate it. So this is your 2 bread and butter stuff. You get this at level 15 and your class starts shaping up. So let's go to the next one. Gift of Raven. Now I use this skill a lot. I'm not going to max it out because the damage it does is not really that impressive, but it's decent enough. But the good thing about this is the passive. So the passive that you get that complements the skill is, even when hit, Gift of Raven can be cast. So this is like a CC break that you can use for yourself. Doesn't work in PvP, guys, though. This doesn't work in PvP. It is only a PvE thing. Every time you are hit, so let's say you are hit and you are like being CC'd, you can use it to cancel the CC and you're back to doing whatever you're doing. So it's like a CC break. I don't know a lot of classes that have this, to be honest, but this one is like super good. This comes into play of how Warlock can become like a lot of survivability on it, because you can use this to save yourself a lot. So this, use it, cancel the CC, continue damage. And it leaves some AoE and it actually does decent damage. So I don't use it off cooldown, I use it as a utility skill. So even if I use this skill a lot, I do not prioritize leveling it up with my points. I only level it up if I have like remaining points. So I put it in my bar, but it's more of a utility. So it's like our last priority when it comes to spending skill points on the skill. Dim Soul Blast, the really good skill, plus the passive, you wanna use it both. So let me not level the passive for now. Let me just show you this the way it is, right? So Dim Soul Blast is like a combo. See, it has a tiny teleport on it, and then knocks up the enemy, or if it's a boss, it's not going to knock it up, but it does actually really good damage, this skill. But it shines the moment you level its ultimate as well, because not ultimate, passive, sorry. So when you level the passive as well, you can do a second Soul Blast, but now this time in a downward attack. So it becomes like 2 skills, like boom and then boom, right? So it basically does like double damage now, because it's like 2 attacks, and it's really good combo. It also has like a small gather on it also when you do it on like a small pack of mobs. So very nice skill, and really fun to use, right? So it doesn't have a lot going for it, but it's a good damage dealing ability that you're gonna have now set up on your hot bus. So I always max this skill out. Let's go to the next one. And this is your gateway to darkness. You're gonna get this at level 30. So this is your first major gather skill. This skill, really good damage, very, very good damage. If you look at the scaling, it's insane. It's like 4,000%. Really good damage. However, it's a long cooldown. It's like 40-second cooldown. So keep that in mind. And then it has a passive where the pull effect is doubled, right? So it becomes an even bigger gathering skill. So I always have this skill in my bar. And you can just place it, and it has like a pull effect and does very, very good damage. Very, very good damage. So it's a So skill you're not really going to be getting rid of when you're doing PvE. In PvP, it's also super good. Super good. I even forgot to say about Dim Solbas. Really good in PvP skill as well because of this short teleport. You can instantly catch people off guard if they're not paying attention. And for PvE, this one you can also place this one really nicely, really nicely. You can place it when you're in the air and stuff, and it's a nice catch, a very nice catch skill, does really good damage. So yeah, that's a bread and butter skill you're gonna be having on your bar all the time. Harvest Soul is a skill that, to be honest, just having 1 point in this skill is all you need. You actually don't even need to spend points in this skill, because spending points on the skill just increases the time, right? Increases the time. So the first point is like 7 seconds. If you max it out till the maximum you can get, it's like around 11 seconds, so like 3 extra seconds. To be honest, that 3 extra seconds isn't really needed, because you only need 1 or 2 seconds to fully heal yourself. You need 1 or 2 seconds to fully heal yourself. So for the purpose of demonstration, let me put this skill here, there, and then let's put just 1 level of leech, right? Yeah, let's put it on like 1. So if you have like, you're low on HP, right? I'm gonna let this let's summon a couple more. Summon 1 more. You see how I'm like low health? Okay. I'm gonna super up so they don't cancel it, right? If you leech and then just do like 1 skill, you see how I'm max health. I mean, that's all you need, and then it kind of goes on cooldown, and then you're kind of done with the skill. The leech, the way the game works, you're gonna be doing like a lot of hits, so you don't need to max that skill out. You only need 1 point on it if you are doing content that needs you to like leech health or like try and survive yourself. So yeah, really strong skill, but you just need 1 point in it. Just 1 point in it. Look at that. That leech is insane. I absolutely love that skill. So if I'm doing like hard content like the raid, I'm gonna have it. But if I'm doing like easy content, purgatories, critical conquest and stuff, you absolutely do not need that skill. But for harder content, it is super good, super good. Look at that leech. Boom, leech, full HP. It's that simple, guys. That simple. Really, really beautiful skill. Really beautiful skill. So, and that is even without the passive. I haven't even put the passive yet. So if you max it out, like you have it for like 11 seconds, then you max out the passive. So now you have like a 10% leech. Remember that, guys, that was a 7% leech. Then add another 3% into it. It's complete overkill. You actually do not need to do that. So just save yourself some points you can put in other skills, and then just put 1 point in it. You don't need that much, just 1 point, and then you can put it on a skill slot for like a utility, right? And then just leave it there. Let's talk about this skill I've been using, Hand of Calamity. This skill is kind of broken. Hand of Calamity is one of your highest DPS skills. This skill is really beautiful, really beautiful. It does a lot of damage. And it's also kind of a gather. This skill will be one of your main DPS skills, one of your 4 main. There's actually 4 main DPS skills. So yeah, this one will always be in your bar for PvP and PvE as well. So for PvP, this has like look at it like a pool, right? Because it pulls. And you catch someone from there, he's gonna end up around here, and then you can combo it with something else, right? And a down smash. So really cool skill, high damage, applies cast. Every skill will apply some cast. Your problem is not really your cast stacks, right? Your problem is the cooldown of your detonate. So don't focus so much on cast stacks, right? You're gonna be getting way too many stacks than you can detonate. That is just the thing. Unless you start getting your cooldown of your detonate much lower, then you can start worrying about what skill does applies how many stacks and stuff like that, right? So let's talk about the level 45 passive. So this is where your class kind of opens up now, right? So level 45, let's talk about the first passive you unlock. This will be activated by default. So final eulogy, a lot of people don't know, but every time you demon burst, you're gonna notice something on your health bar down here, your buffs, right? So if you demon mark burst, boom, you're gonna get a passive here. Final eulogy damage. See, increases damage dealt by 6 seconds. This will last for 20 seconds and you can stack it. See, 12 seconds. Do your combos and stuff. Demon burst is off cooldown, and then do it again, and you stack it. So 18%. You can only get a total of 3 stacks. This one will last, right? Every time you demon burst, it's gonna reset that bar. So that's what that passive does. So you're gonna be doing 18% extra damage all the time as long as you are detonating your max. Right? This also applies with your ultimate. Your ultimate also will do that, will reset the duration of that. Right? I have too many buffs now. Oh, here it is. Your ultimate also reduces cooldown of skill by like 5 seconds every time you like do damage with the ultimate. So keep that in mind. That is what that passive means. So you wanna be doing all your burst and make sure, and when you're doing your ulti, like the transformation, you'll be reducing your cooldowns by 5 seconds, though it has like a 30-second cooldown. So anyway, it doesn't really matter because this skill has like 100-second cooldown. So that is by the way, I guess. So the main thing here is to upkeep this 18% damage buff. You wanna make sure you're using your burst off cooldown. So let's talk about this transformation. Now, first thing, the reason why I do not have the black tint is because I have disabled it. You can disable it in settings, camera, skill, awakening, post processing for awakening, right? So if you have this disabled and then you transform, you're gonna get this black tint. Now, this is a very personal preference. If you love this, then keep it. It looks pretty cool, but I don't know, it's a little too much for my eyes. It's a little too much for my eyes. So that's it. That's the reason why you don't see like it in my screen like that, is because I have this I've disabled the post-processing so that I don't get the tint. So mine is just normal like this. So for those who have been asking me how I did it, that's how you disable it in your camera settings. So let's talk about this ultimate and what it entails. Now, this transformation does a couple of things for your character, right? So the moment you transform, the first thing you'll notice is your basic attacks. So this is your normal basic attack chain. And then boom, that's your full basic attack chain. So 1, 2, some close, and then boom, right? When you transform, your basic attack are just simple close. See? That's the first thing that will change once you swap into awakening, and the basic attack will do even a little bit more damage. Okay. Second thing, you will get extra attack speed when you are in this form as well. That is the second thing that you're gonna do. Okay. The third thing, the third thing, if your demon mark is on cooldown, let me remove this one so that you can actually see the cooldown of this. So let's say I've just detonated my stacks and then I use my mark, boom, it's on cooldown. If I ulti, it's gonna go immediately off cooldown, right? So keep that in mind. So a combo you can do very easily is when you have your 5 stacks, on the mob, you detonate, and then you stack another 5 stacks, and you don't have detonator cooldown, you can ulti and you can immediately detonate, right? So because the demon mark burst is gonna come off cooldown immediately moment you transform. That's another thing with the ulti. Another thing with the ulti, I'm not even done yet, guys. Another thing with the ulti, every time this ulti is active, you're gonna be passively applying demon back the curses, see the stacks. You're going to be passively applying the stacks all the way to max. It is just a passive thing. As long as you're close, it's gonna be, and it's an AoE thing as well. So everything around you is gonna be getting all those stacks. And when you detonate, it detonates in an AoE. Every monster that has that mark will be exploded, right? So that's another thing about the ulti. And we are not done yet. We are not done yet. Another thing about the ulti is this. So when you're in the Dark Knight mode, your demon mark will be doing double damage. So if you have 5-stack bear, when you demon mark, is gonna do like around 8, almost 900k, right? When you are in a apostle state, right, and then you demon mark, it's gonna do double damage, so around 1.8 mil. See, like exactly double damage. That is the thing. So it's gonna reset the cooldown, and every time you snap your finger, the damage will be double. That's another thing when it comes to the ultimate. So the ultimate is like a lot of things into one. So keep that in mind. So maybe replay that part and hear all the perks you get when you use this ultimate. Okay, let's go to the next skill, the level 50 skill. Now we are getting to the big boy skills. So the Styxian illusion is your hardest hitting skill. So this will be the highest DPS skill in your kit. However, it is a placed skill, and then it does like a lot of damage over time in the area, right? It does extremely high damage, but if no, it's a placed skill, so if you place it the wrong way, you're gonna lose all that damage. If you place it somewhere and then the boss moves out of the AoE, you're also gonna lose all that damage. So keep that in mind as well. You also want to put the passive as well, so that their range increases. You can place it. So that you can place it even further away. See how the range increases? It becomes our range skill. So you can use this in PvP. You can even use this to catch people as well. So, however, it's a long cooldown skill. It's kind of a long cooldown skill. So keep that in mind. However, this is your hardest hitting skill. You always have this max, and you always have this in your bar. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about Chaos Tide. This is also a super high damaging skill. I always have this in my bar. Yeah, I like putting it on the bottom. So the cooldown is a little lengthy. It's like 52-second cooldown. However, this skill is a huge AoE. See how it's like a Kono AoE, though everything in the circle is gonna get damaged. So it's gonna look like this. Very high damage skill, very high damage skill, and a huge AoE skill. Very huge AoE skill. Another cool thing about this is you can use this to like super armor yourself when you're about to get knocked by some boss thing. Just go into super armor, use the skill, and you can save yourself from being knocked down or something like that. So amazing skill. Always have this skill in your bag. And let's talk about the last skill, the level 60 finisher skill. It's a huge burst skill. Very huge burst skill. Every class has this insane huge burst skill. Yeah. But the thing about this skill that I don't like, it's the cooldown is really long. It is super long. And remember when I said like the level, is it level 10 or level 15? What level is this? Basically level 1. The level 1 finisher, when you max that one out, it might out damage this one in a longer fight, because this skill has like a 3 minute or 2.5 minute cooldown. Let me see. How long is this? 150-second cooldown. It is super long. You can cast a total of, I think, 5 of these. Sorry. For every this big boost you cast, you can do 5 of these. At the end of the day, the lower cooldown one will out damage this one. This will out damage the level 60 skill on a longer fight, right? On a shorter fight, no contest. So Purgatory, Conquest, yeah. The Dark Flame will out damage this by a mile. It's not even a contest. But for a longer fight, which you will have to cast this more, then this obliteration is much better. And also when we are talking about the gear sets, you'll understand why I prefer this one over this one, because there's some gear sets in the game that are activated when you do finisher skills, and this one is like 150-second cooldown, so it's a little air. Apostle is also kind of a long cooldown, it's like 100-second cooldown. So having a low cooldown finisher can make those gear sets really good. And yeah, so there is that. This is a really high damage skill, don't get me wrong, super high, but the cooldown is like really long. So maybe the more cooldown reduction you get, the less of a value this one becomes, right? And then this one becomes a much higher value. But if you have like a really high cooldown on this, on longer fights, you'll start realizing you actually can't use this skill that much. You're gonna cast it 3 or 4 times a fight, and you could have cast this thing like 15 times in the same fight. So yeah, keep that in mind. Let me show you how I set up my skills. If you look at my presets here, I have a PVE sustain and then a PVE burst. The only difference between the sustain and the burst one is my finisher skill. Everything else is the same. Look, everything else is the same, right? You'll see I'm only swapping out my level 60 finisher into the level 1 finisher. Because now for sustained fight, which I'll have to cast a lot of this, I like this one way more. But in a burst fight, this one is useless. So it's completely useless. I want this, I'm looking for like burst. So arena, duel of bones, if I want to burst things down, this is what I want. The way I've arranged these skills, let me explain to you why I do this. So this is more of like a rotation system, right? These 4 skills, I'm going to be using them off cooldown. So this, and my calamity hand, and the placement of that, and this. Those one will always be on cooldown. Always on cooldown, right? Another one that will be on cooldown will be my 2 skill. 2 skill will also be on cooldown. This is the ball skill, right? This one. So this one will also be on cooldown. That skill. Really high damage. Really high damage. If I do the 2, all my 3 skills and all my skills on 4, for me it's CQ because that's in my keyboard. So 2, then C twice, and then Q twice, right? Now all my DPS skills are kind of done. What I'm doing now is just detonating my mark, and then basic attacking to apply stacks. Basic attacks apply stacks like really fast. I'll always have 5 stacks before Demon Monk is off cooldown, and I can explode it, basic attack again to apply all the stats, right? And then it will always be at 5 stacks again, and then I can explode it again. These ones are like, you see how the cooldowns are kind of long? It's not even back yet, right? But when they are off cooldown, I use them again, right? And then Demon Monk. Now, these 2 skills you're seeing me not using, they are basically utility skills. You have the luxury of having 2 utility skills on a Warlock. Now, if everything is off cooldown, even my mark, this skill will be active for me because I am using my mark off cooldown. This will never be active down here that I'm actually staring at it. In fact, if you are staring at this skill here ready to be used, you are playing Warlock wrong. This skill should always be off cooldown. You should always be snapping your fingers, right? So with that being said, because this will always be off cooldown, I will always have access to my CC break on demand. So since this will always be off cooldown, if I get hit by anything, my 1 is always ready to get out of it because that's the CC break skill. So it's a utility skill that I always have active with me, right? That is why I've set up my Demon Mark with that skill there. And then the same reasoning is why I have my Leech above the 2, because this skill, I'll always be using it off cooldown. It's not going to be on my bar staring at it. However, I don't use my Leech off cooldown. This will only be when I'm feeling like I need to Leech. I will always have it available on demand, so I can quickly Leech and get back my HP, right? So that is the idea behind my setup. Many people have different setups, but I just wanted to show you how I go about my setup. So this is the skills that I have, and I've maxed them out like that. So you want to have your chaos tide maxed, and I put it on 3 here. You want to have your stationary illusion maxed with all the points until you can't max it anymore, right? Until you can't max it anymore. You also want to have your demon transformation maxed out. Hand of Calamity definitely maxes out, does like really crazy damage. Leech, as I said, you don't really need to max this. You don't really need to max your Leech, so just keep there. If you have extra points, yeah, but you don't really need to max it. And then your Gateway to Darkness max. Dim Soul Blast max. Gift to the Raven, if you have the point, max it, but it's a low priority, right? And then you explore your Snap Fingers, the Demon Mark Burst, you always max that, right? Everything above level 15, you're not going to be using any of it. If you haven't even touched it, the only thing you're going to be using here is your finisher if you need it, right? If you don't need this finisher, then you're maxing the level 61. And also unveil the passive one here for extra magic attack. So I hope that exhausts all the skill explanation and anything cool about the skills. I hope I've said everything there. If there's something I've missed out, please make sure you put down in the comment section so that we can learn from each other. So let's say you have copied my keybinds, right? You've copied my keybinds exactly the way they are. So let me show you my rotation and what I do. And by saying rotation, to be honest, Warlock doesn't really have a rotation. You are basically working on your stack system and making sure you are detonating. You don't have to micromanage stacks using skills, to be honest. Because let's say you dump everything, all your entire skill bar at the start of a fight. You're going to be able to snap at least once, right? So see, and then do it again. You see, you're already at 5 stacks. You can snap there, right? And then do the remaining skills. You are already at 5 stacks again. See? And your Demon Mark is not even off cooldown. When you snap, you have really nothing else off cooldown. You have your utility skills. You're not really using these ones for damage or stacking. So this is where you're going to be basic attacking. Basic attacks, they give stacks extremely fast. You're going to have these stacks or always on 5 stacks before your Demon Mark is off cooldown. See, it's not even off. There it is. I had 5 stacks way long before that happened. Yeah. So when it comes to rotation, do not try and micromanage your cast stacks that much, because you're gonna get more stacks than you can detonate. You can get more stacks that you can detonate. However, I'm going to show you a couple of things that are not very apparently so. And that's especially when it comes to the finisher. Let me swap. This finisher has like a lot of things going into it. Now, if you have the finisher is not something you wanna start with. You do not start with your transformation ever. You wanna do your rotation fast. Make sure everything is off cooldown before you ulti. Because every time you transform, it's gonna reduce the cooldown of a lot of things, and the Demon Mark is gonna go straight to 0 seconds cooldown, right? It's gonna be active again immediately. So another thing I want to show you now during this rotation about the ulti is you do not want your ulti to run out. You see how this bar is like ending. You want to manually end your transformation instead of letting it automatically run out. The reason for that is manually ending it does that. When you manually end it yourself, if you do not end it, it's just going to run out, and then you're going to go back to like human form and then just continue with your life and stuff, right? But when you are detonating yourself, it's going to detonate the 5 stacks on the enemy for a huge burst of damage. So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing the transformation and your rotation. An extra thing to note is, let's say you are on your rotation, right? You have your 5 stacks up, right? This is just an example. You have your 5 stacks up. You have your demon burst active, but your ulti is almost running out. You want to prioritize your ulti instead of Demon Burst, because the ulti will do higher damage than just snapping your fingers. So keep that. It's like a priority system. Sometimes it doesn't align very well. So for example, you can't if the snap and the ulti is running out before your snap is off cooldown. If you try and snap, you kind of lose the stacks, right? And then when you detonate this, the damage is going to be a little bit lower, because the damage scales according to how many stacks you have when you're deactivating, when you're trying to transform back into a human form. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. It's like a priority system. You're gonna prioritize the ulti explosion before the snap. Ooh, I feel like I'm rambling too much. Let's talk about the gear sets. So the weapon you wanna be going for is the Eye of the Void. This is like your best in slot. Full box might be good, but right now not really. Maybe in the later stages of the game. To be honest, I wouldn't know. Okay, the thing about full box is it gives you like it's more of an elemental weapon, right? It's an elemental weapon. Elemental damage is a really good multiplier, but for now, with the kind of sets we have, the lower tree, this one with the Eye of the Void Dragon, the lower tree will give you more damage. It just has like better stats, has like CDR, which is something we are really looking for right now, has a lot of crit damage, gives you extra skill scale, like 1 to 60, basically all skills. It reduces the cooldown of your ulti, it gives it even more damage, and then gives you more critical damage as a passive. It just has like really good things going for it. This one, you're gonna lose a lot of those passives. Like you should see, there's no crit chance and crit damage and all that, and also there's no cooldown reduction. But you're gonna get like the attribute attack, which is like the elemental one. So if you get this cooldown reduction and crit chance and crit damage in other places, like maybe you get these circuits and get this perfect circuits and stuff, maybe this weapon now becomes better, because the elemental damage is like will be what you're looking for at the end. But for now, with the current gear and the current end game, this is the weapon you're going for. Maybe on like level 65 epics, probably you're going to be looking for a different weapon. But for now, yeah, you just want to be going, you cannot go wrong with this one. This one is probably a niche build. I wouldn't recommend you to get this one. So yeah, you're going to be going for this one. The first tree here, this is a placeholder epic that you're going for. You craft this because getting this one can take a while. If you don't drop it, you'll need to craft it with 2000 shards, which is like a lot of shards. So hopefully you drop this on your alt or something and send it over. So as you're waiting for that, yeah, you wanna be using this one. You can craft this for like 3 million gold and some of these magic gems. Leveling it up to 60, I don't know. I wouldn't suggest you do that. I mean, you can if you have the gold and you have all of these, but I won't be doing it. I'm just going to be waiting until I get my Eye of the Void to transfer it into this. When it comes to the armor set, this is no-brainer. We are going for the Nocturna set, and then you're going to be upgrading it into the 60 epic. And this is where I was talking about the finisher. If you look at the force-piece effect, where is it? I'm looking for it. Yeah. After casting an awakening skill, you gain these stacks, and then you get like more umbro damage, right? And casting your ulti gets you like skill cooldowns. So you see how it's the 4-piece like works with your finisher. So having a finisher with like a 30-second cooldown or something, make sure it means that you have this passive active a lot more often than having a finisher that is like 150-second cooldown. So that's the reason why I was saying the level 1 finisher can be better than the level 60 finisher, so that because you can spam it every 28 seconds or so, right? So that is the idea behind why I was saying about that quickly. But yeah, this is probably the set you are looking for. You are looking for this set a lot. This is a really, really beautiful set. I've already been lucky with this. I only have like a 2-piece. If I move, I have 3-piece. I need one more to get my 4-piece, and it's a huge damage increase when I get this, because I do get this new set effect here. When it comes to your bracelets and stuff, is the adjudicator stuff, this one, because this is really good passives on your damage skills. You wanna be going for, you don't wanna be on the void. The void doesn't doesn't do much for you. So you're gonna be getting your adjudicators. This will each will be giving you like a skill bonus on a particular skill, and it chooses like really good skills. It chooses very good skills. You see, like your ulti gets up damage buff, your chaos of illusion or something, I'm not wrong, which is chaos tide, really good buff. So yeah, you're gonna be going for these sets, but very expensive to craft. So you're just hoping to drop this on your abyssal purgatory stuff, and maybe like your critical conquest and stuff like that, or even the hex raid. You're gonna be getting this one. Yeah, so that is it about your what gear set you need to be going for. It's this path and leveling it up into level 60 epic. That is what you are going for. When it comes to circuits, you want to be prioritizing cooldown reduction as much as you can. If you can get cooldown reduction, for example, for all your time circuits, you want to be getting cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction. It's a really good start that unfortunately you need a lot of. It's actually a higher priority than crit chance, to be honest. Higher priority than crit chance. The more cooldown reduction you can get, the better Warlock will feel. So cooldown reduction, and then now critical hit chance, and then critical hit damage, and then things like intelligence, magic attack, spirit. So that's like the stats you're going to be looking for on all your circuits. When it comes to, I think, your stellar ones, yeah, you're looking for Umbro Enhance, just because elemental damage scales really well in this game, and you are going to be building Umbro, only Umbro. If you get Pyro, if you get Cryo, all of those are completely useless stats. They're not going to do anything for you. You want to be prioritizing only Umbro, right? When it comes to Insignias, I do not really have Insignias, so I can't really show you. However, I can just explain to you what to get. You want to be prioritizing things that you're looking for. For example, for the weapon, the Witch Insignia is like best in slot, just because of the Umbro Enhance. But before you get the gold one, you can work with something like the Mystic one, which gives crit damage, right? So what you're looking for when it comes to Insignias, there is no such thing as like Insignia tier list or anything like that. Insignias kind of work with what your class needs. So you are looking for cooldown reduction on Insignias, and then like crit chance, and then crit damage, and then like magic attack in like that priority order. And then Umbro attack is actually really high up. It's like Umbro, and then cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage. Crit damage can be a higher priority than crit chance if you have like really high crit chance. You can start going for crit damage instead of crit chance. So that's the idea behind this. So for example, for your breastplate and gloves, you can put your Ophelias. So that will give you cooldown rate. So you don't want to choose something like this. This will give you crit chance, right? Instead of crit chance, you want to get this, because this all attribute is much better. It goes even to the elemental stuff, plus cooldown rate, which is something you actually need a lot of. I keep saying this, you need a lot of cooldown reduction when it comes to your Warlock. You want to get at least 400 if I'm not wrong, or even as high as you can. I have like what, 157. I need even way more, because I want to get this to at least 30% cooldown minimum. That is the comfortable place I want to be. I really hope I've talked about everything that we need to talk about when it comes to the Warlock. I might release a PvP one in the future, but that means I'll have to play PvP and actually be good at it before I say anything about that. So I hope that explained a lot of things about the Warlock. I'm still learning the class. There is actually no guides of this class, so I haven't been knowing a lot of things about this. So thanks guys for watching, and I hope I'll see you guys on the next one. I actually have a couple of guides for other classes. I should make like a gun or something. Yeah, so stay tuned, like and subscribe the video, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.